Test, test, test. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi. How are you all?
Fine.
Okay, we'll wait for another minute and then we'll start, okay?
Sure.
So how is the group formation? Any conclusion? Any problem? Have you formed all the groups? Or you need me to randomize?
Some of us organize the group, but others are not, I think. So you can grouping us today, or let us group later.
Or maybe for you who have formed groups, I mean, I will let you form. I will let you maintain the groups, and for those who have yet to have groups, then I'll randomize. The other groups. I think that's the easiest way, right? So just tell me who have groups and who haven't, and we'll figure out how to how to form the groups for those who have not got any groups. Yeah. So I'll let you maintain the groups that you have made, right? For those who have made the groups. Okay, I think yeah, almost all of us have been in the room. So I will repeat again for the group formation, for the groups, or for you who have created and made the groups, I will let you maintain the groups. Okay, so we will not randomize those groups that have been made, but just tell me who have not got any groups, have not found any group members, then I'll try to randomize. Okay, I'll randomize the the remaining class members who have not got any groups. Okay, just tell me be on the chat room by the Kakao Talk, and we'll figure out how to make it. So yeah, it will be quite straightforward. And again, your first assignment will be next week. So I'm moving this week's assignment to next week to give you more time, and yeah, to work together, because I understand that all of us are working, and we have to somehow we have to find a way to work together, and maybe the evening time, or maybe online only, and so forth. So I fully understand. So it has been shifted to next week, so we have another week to prepare for the assignment. And also I will give you some hint questions. Okay, usually when you read a case study, it's like a narration of story and information, but usually they don't provide you with any questions. So to help you, direct the case solving or case analysis, I'll give you questions, so you can follow the direction of the questions, and yeah, that will make it easier. When you read the case, you know what actually to answer, what actually to aim, or to target in terms of the case analysis and presentation. Okay, so I'll send everything to you on the Kakao Talk. Hope that solve everything. So for you who have groups, so I conclude, right? For you who have already had groups, I will let you maintain the groups. For those who have not got any groups, I will randomize it. I will randomize them today, after the class. And please again, write your name in the Roman version, Roman alphabet version, so I can write and pronounce your name appropriately. Okay, as I see everyone here, almost everyone show the Roman alphabet version of your name. So thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so let's go into today's discussion points. I sent you the lecture notes last week, and actually, one of the topics today would be the core of international finance. Right? There's the parity condition. So I will start with that one. Then, if we have some remaining time, we'll go back to the international monetary system because there's more theoretical, more no knowledge, knowledge and information that you could read anytime. Maybe before you, maybe at night, if you cannot sleep, you just read the international monetary system, and you don't need any sleeping pill. Okay, so you fall asleep very fast because that's about the historical story and perspective. But I will start with the parity condition, because parity conditions again is the core of international finance, the core of actually our course, our subject, right, for this semester. And uh, I think in your work, in your projects, you have found out that the parity conditions, the purchasing power parity, interest rate parity, and something like that are very vital, very pivotal to your work and projects. For example, if you can imagine, if you have a project somewhere, maybe let's say the Korean uh, high-speed railway, like high-speed train. If you were to invest somewhere, if you want to invest in uh, maybe Vietnam or Africa or anywhere, you need to make projections, right? But remember that when you make a projection, it will involve exchange rate movement. Let's say you pledge to lend out the money, so you're going to build the high-speed railway, let's say in wherever in Myanmar, okay, and you lend out the money to the Myanmar government, and let's say you lend out the money with the interest rate of maybe 0.5% per year, at 0.5% per year. But remember, 0.5% annually is in Korean won, right? But to the local borrower, the real interest rate might not be 0.5% because now you have to estimate the exchange rate movement from time to time. You understand what I'm saying, right? So if you borrow money from another country, they lend out the money at 0.5% annually. Remember that when you pay it, you're doing the operations at home, right? So you gain money from domestic operations, and you have to pay your debt in foreign currency. So you have to adjust the borrowing rate from time to time using interest rate parity or international Fisher effect. So what we're going to see today again will be implemented all the time in your projects, in your work, especially when your companies go international or become like multinational corporations. Okay, so let me show the screen. All of you can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as usual, if you have questions or comments, just unmute yourself and speak up, okay? So you don't need to wait until the end of the session. So at any point of the slide, you can ask questions or raise comments. So again, parity conditions. So parity itself means equilibrium or balance, right? So parity, we believe that because of the arbitrage process, so the what's that? Endeavor to get arbitrage, right? And no, everybody wants to get arbitrage. See, arbitrage means you get easy money, right? Like riskless money. I think you have learned this and done it maybe in your workplace or something like that. So everybody wants to get arbitrage profit, because arbitrage means you buy something at one place. So, for example, if you could buy, let's say, if you could buy Samsung in in Korea at a certain price, maybe 1 million wons. But in a neighboring country, let's say in Japan or China, it's very near, they sell it at 1.2 million. Then it's very simple. Right? If you can buy a lot of the products in Korea and then you sell it in Japan, that you get the riskless profit, right? Without risk, right? Because you just buy it at one place and you sell it at another place at a higher price. So it's very easy. Of course, you have to cut all the transportation costs and then the other other transaction costs and transportation costs, right? But if you can do it, then you get easy money, and everybody wants to get this kind of money. So what is the consequence of everybody pursuing the arbitrage profit? Then at the end, the arbitrage profit will disappear. Quite straightforward, right? Because everybody tries to do it, and because of the competition, at the end, everybody wants to sell it at a cheaper price. Demand, the supply will be higher. Then finally, the arbitrage will disappear. All right. So this is the major principle of business everywhere. So at first, if we can get an arbitrage profit, then we are going to pursue the arbitrage profit because it's easy. It's essentially riskless, with no risk because you buy it somewhere, you sell it at another place at a higher price. But at the end, again, the arbitrage profit will disappear because of the competition, because of the available information to the market and all other factors. And finally, we know that with the disappearance of arbitrage profit, then we are going back to the law of one price. The law of one price. But this is the central idea, the central characteristic of international business or even domestic business. Right? At the end, we know that the law of one price will come back, right, after the period of arbitrage opportunity. So any idea about this one? Can you tell me quickly? What do you think the law of one price? What do you think? Maybe your experience or your guess even. So the law of one price, what does it mean again? So things that have the same quality, right? The same characteristics, the same functions, right? The same features must have the same price, right? wherever they are sold, right? Of course, we have to adjust for the transaction costs, right? Transportation costs and some other things. For example, we cannot expect the whatever Samsung mobile phone or Hyundai car to cost exactly the same in maybe South America or in Africa, right? Because we have like different tax system, different transaction costs, right? Different transportation costs. But essentially, if we are comparing, two similar places and two similar products with the same functions, same characteristics, then they should sell at the same price. Otherwise, we'll have the opportunity to get the arbitrage profit. Right? It's quite simple, and everybody wants the arbitrage profit, of course, right? Okay. So today we are going to see some parity conditions from the purchasing power parity, then Fisher effect. This is someone's name, Irving Fisher, right? The economist from some decades ago, and then IFE, the International Fisher effect, and then the interest rate parity and UFR, or unbiased forward rates. Unbiased forward rates, UFR, unbiased predictors of future spot rates, is the forward rates. So before we go into each of them, I think it's worth repeating this one a bit, like forward premium and discount. I hope you still remember from last week, right? So we call like appreciation and depreciation, but with the forward rate, we call it premium and discount, but it's essentially similar to appreciation and depreciation, right? Here you see, very similar to stock return calculation. at the forward rate, the new rate minus the old one divided by the old one. But this time, there's a high possibility that the forward rate is less than 1 year, so we have to adjust with the the real number of days. For example, of course, in 1 days, in 1 year we have 360. Will mature in 3 months. 3 months means 90 days. So we're saying that 360 divided by 90 days. So it will be 1/4, right? Only 25% of a year. And if this is 6 months, 6 months would be what? 180. So it will be half. It will be half. Okay, so and so forth. So we have to adjust to the number of days in the year. So I want to remind you again about the appreciation and depreciation. So we have the first currency that we mentioned first is called the reference currency, and the one we mentioned at the back is the anchor currency. Okay, so I want to, for example, what is the won to dollar today? Is it still the same? 1250? Does it change? Is it the same? Yeah, hopefully it remains about the same. Okay. So still remember, right? So this one is the reference currency, right? And this one is the anchor currency. And how you know, if you want to know quickly the depreciation and appreciation, just look at the anchor currency. Look at the anchor currency. So if the number is increasing, it means that the anchor currency is appreciating, right? Going up, right? Going up. But if this number decreases, then the anchor currency is depreciating. So for example, what if tomorrow it becomes 1300, right? So can you tell me which one is appreciating again? Which one is depreciating? See, the number is increasing. So can you help me, Nate? I see your face here. So Nate, which one is appreciating?
I think the Korean one is depreciation, and dollar is appreciation. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Very good. Yeah. So you see, 1250 to 1300, it means that the anchor currency dollar is appreciating, right? Because the number is increasing. Or if you want to think about it logically, remember that today, to get $1, you need to pay 1250 wons, right? But tomorrow, to get $1, you need to pay 1300 wons, right? So it's more expensive tomorrow to get US dollar. So see, again, the number is increasing, so dollar is appreciating. So in other words, Korean won is depreciating, right? So it's quite straightforward. So the same thing here when we talk about spot and forward. Right? So spot. I hope you still remember from last week. What is spot transaction again? The deal is made now, right? Right now, the deal is made right now, and then the delivery is also made right now, right? So it's quite easy spot. So right now, right? So you make the spot transaction. But for the forward transaction, the deal is made right now, but the delivery will happen sometime in the future, right? Sometime in the future means maybe 3 days later, 1 week later, 6 months later, or whatever, right? So spot transaction limit would be about T+2, right? T+2 days. So if it is within 2 days, then you can still call it a spot transaction, right? So it's if we say that this is like forward premium, So forward premium essentially means that the forward contract shows an appreciation of the anchor currency. So it's actually uh, similar to the no, analogy for the appreciation, right? And for discount, similar to the concept of depreciation. Okay, so uh, let's see an example. If the spot rate here is again, let's say the spot rate right now is 1250 and the forward is uh, can you tell me, anyone here, what do you think? Is it forward premium or forward discount? Anchor currency, okay? Uh, let me ask randomly, okay? Maybe here, Yumi, can you
Yes.
tell us? Is it?
It's discounting.
No? That's right. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So this is forward discount. This is correct.
Yeah, it's discounted. Yeah.
Right. This is forward discount. That's why I always look at the anchor currency, right? See, so the number is decreasing, right? The number is decreasing. So this is forward discount for US dollar, right? Forward discount for US dollar. So again, it's very easy. Forward discount is similar to depreciation, depreciation analogy, and forward premium is analogous or equivalent to appreciation analogy. Okay, so we'll see for actually five parity conditions, and at the end you understand this figure easily. Okay, so because we haven't discussed each of them, it might look complicated, and there are a lot of names to be familiar with. But no, after our discussion today, you'll see this figure, and you can comprehend the figure easily. Okay? So we will start with the first one. The first one is purchasing power parity. Right, this is very famous one. Purchasing power means your ability to pay, right? So purchasing power, your ability to purchase. So it has been, it was postulated long time ago, like more than 100 years ago, by Gustav Cassel, all statistician and economist. And purchasing power parity is quite famous. I think it has been very famous for so many, or almost a century, because we're talking about purchasing power, the ability to buy. And we have two versions of the purchasing power parity. The first one is the absolute version. And of course, the second one, which is actually more usable, like in modern times, the second one, the relative version. So we'll start from this one, right? The absolute version. And I think you heard of this terminology before: Big Mac index or Apple index, right? Or even you can use a Samsung index, right? Because we sell a lot of Samsung everywhere in the world. So any idea about the absolute version, absolute meaning of the purchasing power parity? Anyone here? Maybe I'll randomly ask Ryu Hanchul. Any idea? What do you think about the purchasing power parity?
It means one product price is difference about other countries.
And then, because the price is different, but yeah, that's right. Yeah. Price is different between one country and another. And then, what is the consequence then?
because inflation and develop of economics, it is the effect about this index, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's about into the right direction. So because the price or the prices are different, right, between, for example, two countries, then actually we can harness, we can use the price disparity, the price discrepancy to come up with the exchange rate, right? This is the earlier version of the purchasing power parity, right? The absolute version. So let's use an example. Let's think about whatever, maybe McDonald's. Okay, is it popular in Korea? Still popular? I mean, McDonald's still. Okay, so can you tell me the price of, let's say, McChicken? This is the cheapest version of McDonald's. What is the price of McChicken in Korea? Can you tell me approximately? Or McDouble, maybe? Any idea? Maybe we just went to McDonald's some days ago.
I think
Yes?
it's approximately $4 US.
What about in Korean won? How much is it?
4,000 won.
4,000. Okay, 4,000. So, are you sure this is McChicken, right? Not the usual, Big Mac or something, because this is the cheapest one. In the United States, McChicken only costs $1 at $1, because this is the cheapest version. So if this is 4,000, it means that based on the absolute version of the purchasing power parity, then the exchange rate should be 4,000 per dollar. I mean, if this is right, okay, this is an illustration. So again, the absolute version is saying that if you have two identical things sold in two different countries, then their different prices will reflect the exchange rate. Right? So this is the absolute version, right? Of course, we know that the absolute version doesn't really show the true exchange rate in the world, right? We know that it deviates a lot, but again, this is the earlier concept, because the earlier concept didn't really pay attention or incorporate factors such as the availability of materials and also the transportation cost and other transaction costs, right? Because it's simply based on the price differences. Right? Of course, you can use another index, maybe Apple index. Apple index. Let's say in the United States, they sell the, I don't know, maybe 1,000, maybe MacBook Air. A certain MacBook Air, it costs 1,000, and if they sell it in Japan at I don't know, or maybe in do you know the MacBook Air, the newest? Yeah, so you could imagine, yeah, maybe 1 million, for example, right? 1 million. Then if you believe in the absolute version of the purchasing power parity, then the exchange rate should be what? Should be 1,000 dollar, right? If you are using the Apple index, right, the MacBook Air. Okay, so this is again the concept, but we know that in reality, the absolute version doesn't really work perfectly, because we have other factors. You can imagine, for example, if you go to Indonesia, right, if McDonald's goes to Indonesia and it needs the fries, right, the French fries, the potatoes, and of course in some countries the land is not really proper, but not really good for growing potatoes, then the quality is not that good. So they have to buy it from somewhere. Maybe they have to buy it from Australia, right? So they have to ship the potatoes from Australia to Indonesia, and that will increase the transportation cost, right? That's why, although no, the product is identical, right, between the United States and Indonesia, but because of the different quality of land or different quality of products, then they have to import some materials from somewhere else, making the price more expensive. Right? That's why the absolute version doesn't really work in modern times. And you can see some statistics here. We can go through it quickly. You see, this is according to the PPP. Right? It should be, for example, Australia and let's say Singapore. Okay, Singapore. So according to the PPP, it should be what, 105. So it should be $1.05 per US dollar. But see the reality. The reality is here. Yeah. Also the Big Mac prices. Oh no. Where's the real one? Oh, this is the actual one. Sorry, this is the actual one. 136. See, the reality is 136 per US dollar. But if you estimate it, if you try to estimate the exchange rate using the absolute version of the purchasing power parity, then should have been this one, right? But it's not true, right? The actual one is this one. This is the real one. Right? So there's a discrepancy, and here is the undervaluation. One more example, Swiss, this one, the Swiss franc, the estimated one according to the purchasing power parity is 118. So it should be what's that, 118 dollar, but this is the actual one, right? The actual one is 99 cents per dollar. All right, so we have all sorts of discrepancies. Okay, so the second version. So the second version is the relative version. We just saw the absolute version. Again, in real life, of course, the absolute version cannot predict the exchange rate perfectly because of many modern factors that will affect the price of that particular product in one particular country, right? Because of the availability of materials, maybe the tax system, and also the all other factors, all other transaction costs. What about the relative version? So the relative version, I think, is more, we can say, more accurate in the long term, because the relative version is using the inflation rate. So we don't really compare. We don't simply compare one same thing in two countries or in more than two countries. But in the relative version, we are using the inflation rate. So if you read the text or you find some more information from the internet, we know that in the long term, the purchasing power parity, especially the relative version, would be quite heading into the right direction. Of course, it's not perfect, right? Nothing is perfect, but it's heading to the right direction. So we can trust this version actually more in the long term. But of course, in the short term, there will be a lot of noises, right? A lot of noise and disturbances that might make the exchange rate deviate from the the estimated exchange rate according to the purchasing power parity. So let's go into it. So we are seeing, let's say we have inflation. So inflation in the home country, and we have inflation in the foreign country. So imagine, again, last week we alluded to this story. Imagine that the price in your country is increasing, right? Because of one or more reasons, right? The price level in your country is increasing, so inflation is higher, right? Because inflation means an increase in general prices. And how can inflation happen? So there are a lot of other factors, right? Including the excessive money supply, right? So if the money supply of your domestic currency is excessive, right? It's too much, then inflation will happen as well. But essentially, inflation is an increase in general prices. So let's say the general price in your country is increasing, so inflation is higher than another country. So this is your home country, right? And this is one foreign country. So if the price in your home country is increasing, or inflation is higher, then what will happen again? From our discussion last week, will the citizens like the domestic products more or less? If the price is more expensive, will you like it more or less? Maybe Huni, is it right? Yeah. So if the general price in your country is increasing, will you like your domestic products more or actually less?
I think more.
It has become more expensive.
Yes.
But it has become more expensive. So most likely, will you like it more or maybe less? I think. Or maybe I give you comparison. If one product has been more expensive relative to another product with this, let's say the same quality or similar quality, okay, which one will you like more, the cheaper one or the more expensive one?
Cheaper.
Cheaper one, right? So I think everybody will choose the same thing, all of us here. So more likely you will like the imported products more, because your domestic products have become more expensive, right? Why they have become more expensive? Because of the inflation, right? The higher rate of inflation or increasing level of at home, then the citizens will prefer the imported products, right? Foreign products, because maybe they have like similar quality, but they're cheaper. So think about it again. If you demand for more foreign products, then you have to pay for them, right? It's not free, right? You have to pay for them. And how do you pay for them? Foreign currencies. So you need foreign currencies. And of course, the demand for the foreign currencies will increase, right? From foreign products, right? From foreign countries. Okay, so this is very easy. What's that example? Then you know that, or you can guess at least, that if the inflation rate is higher in one country, then you need more and more foreign currencies. So what about the demand and supply then? You demand more for a foreign currency or foreign currencies, making the exchange rate what? Your domestic currency will going down, right, in value. Will go down in value. So it will depreciate. So you see the formula here. Maybe I'll write it so you can follow the logic. So I have, this is the current exchange rate, right? Current exchange rate. Always remember, usually in this kind of calculation, we always use this system, right? Home per foreign. I mean the statement of the currency. We call it direct quotation. We'll see this more in, I think, chapter, I don't remember, chapter 6, right? So it's next week actually. But for now, see, we always use the direct quotation. Right? Direct quotation means you mention the home currency in front and the foreign currency at the back. So this is the E null. So this is the exchange rate right now, the spot rate, right? The spot rate. And we have here, this is inflation at home country. Remember, the home country is the one you mentioned first, right? You mentioned in front. Okay, divided by 1 plus inflation at a foreign country. And of course, to the power of t, right? T means the time. Right? If this is 1 year, then the t is 1. If this is 2 years, then the t is 2. If this is 6 months, then the t is 0.5. Right? So yeah, simple analogy. So I could, based on the purchasing power parity, I could guess this one. This is the exchange rate at time t, your prediction, right? Your prediction based on the purchasing power parity. Right? So again, the logic here, our logic here is that if the inflation rate in your country, domestically, if the inflation rate in your home country exceeds or higher than the inflation rate at a foreign country, then most likely your currency will depreciate, will go down, right? Because let's see our story again. Your domestic products become more expensive, then will you demand more for foreign products, so you have to pay for them, and you have to pay for them using that foreign currency, right? And because you demand more for that foreign currency, then the exchange rate will go up, right? Will go up for that foreign currency. So that foreign currency will appreciate against your domestic currency, or in other words, your domestic currency will depreciate because you demand more for the foreign currency. Okay, so we'll see an example. And of course, you can move the E null here. Right? So you can predict the exchange rate at time t, right? Spot exchange rate at time t, maybe 1 year later, or even 6 months later, or 2 years later, and so forth. Okay, and if you want to know the percentage change, you can do it this way. Right? You see the difference, right? This one, we want to estimate the exchange rate at time t, but this one, we want to know the percentage change, right? Percentage change in the exchange rate. So you can do it simply the inflation rate differential, right? The difference in inflation rate, and you can quickly guess the percentage change in the exchange rate, right, between the two currencies. So before we see an example, let's see this line. This is a parity line, okay? Parity line, and that's why we call it purchasing power parity or equilibrium, right? This is equilibrium or balance. And the the horizontal axis is inflation differential. The horizontal axis, and then the vertical axis is change in foreign currency relative to home currency. So this is home again. Be careful. Relative to home currency, it could be quite confusing, right? Especially because English is not our mother's tongue, right? So the meaning here is that the change in foreign currency relative to home currency. In other words, this is home currency value of foreign currency. I mean another English expression, right? Home currency value of foreign currency. Or just remember this way. This is the easiest way to imagine, right? So home per foreign. So let's see here. If this is in parity, like point A here, point A, it shows that if the inflation differential is 3%, so inflation at home is higher than inflation at that foreign country by 3%. So according to the purchasing power parity, then the exchange rate the home currency should depreciate by 3% as well. So this is in parity, right? In equilibrium. So again, if the inflation differential is 3%, so meaning that inflation at home is positive 3, right? Inflation at home is higher than inflation at that foreign country by 3%. So the exchange rate depreciation on the home currency should be 3% as well. So imagine a number maybe from to yeah, what is it? Be something like this. Yeah, just pretend that this is correct, right? So for example, this is a depreciation by, oh sorry, so the other way around. Wait, easiest to use the board. Yeah. So if for example, inflation in Korea is what is your inflation rate? Any idea? The newest one? 2%? Any idea?
Yeah, almost 2%, but
Almost.
it's going to go. It's gonna be down, but you can estimate it as 2%.
Okay, yeah, 2%. And let's say in the United States right now is still well, because of the recession. I know the inflation rate is less than 1%. So let's say yeah, something like this, right? So we know that the inflation rate differential is 1.5, right? Because we consider Korea as a home country, right? So see the information here, the inflation rate in Korea is 2% or 1.5% higher than that of the United States. So according to the purchasing power parity, then the exchange rate right now is, let's say, okay. So what would be the estimate, right? The exchange rate estimate at time t. Let's say, to make it easy, t is 1 year, okay? T is 1 year, so we can put into the analysis here again, right? 1 plus inflation rate at home to the power of t divided by 1 plus inflation at the foreign country to the power of t. So we know that here, what's it again? 150. So what is the inflation rate at home for 1 year? 2%, okay? Home, right? This is home. See, you mentioned it first. And what is the to the power of 1, right? So you don't need to write 1 because to the power of 1. 1 plus 0.5% to the power of 1 at 1 year. So you can guess this one. Yeah, can we calculate together? Please calculate also. How much is it? Can you tell me, anyone, what do you get? Anyone got any number?
1268.
Okay. Right, something like this, right? So you see here the estimate, right? Estimate at time t, 1 year later, based on our estimate, based on our prediction, according to the purchasing power parity, it would be like this. Right? And now this is 1250. You see, based on this estimate, this is what premium for US dollar, right? Appreciation, right, for US dollar. So this shows an appreciating dollar or a depreciating won. Right? This fits our prediction that according to the purchasing power parity, a country with a higher inflation rate will see or will more likely see its currency depreciate. Right? If you have a higher inflation rate, then most likely your currency will depreciate. And on the other hand, if your inflation rate is lower, more likely or most likely you see your currency appreciate, right? So this dollar is appreciating, right? And won is depreciating because of the interest, because of the inflation rate differential. So we'll see another example here. In 2018, US price level was 114. The Danish price level was 123. So price level means the consumer price index, right? The inflation indicator. We call it consumer price index, and relative to price level of 100. And what is the current spot rate? Current spot rate is 15 per Danish krone. Okay, and so you can put into the analysis again. This would be 15 cents multiplied by 1 plus. So be careful. You see, the home country is the United States. It's mentioned in front, right? So be careful here. So the inflation rate in the home country, what is it? Home country, the United States is 114 divided by 1 plus the inflation rate at the foreign country here. The foreign country is Danish krone, right? So in Denmark, and that is 123. And the analysis here is 1 year, 1 year. So to the power of 1, to the power of 1, because this is 1 year, and they got here. So the estimated ET is 139 per krone. So you see, it has been a depreciating krone, right? From 15 cents to about 14 cents, right? So the krone has, no, according to the estimate, krone will depreciate, right? Krone will depreciate. Why? Because the inflation rate is higher in Denmark than that in the United States, right? According to the purchasing power parity. So again, according to the purchasing power parity, a country with a higher inflation rate will most likely see its currency depreciate. Higher inflation rate means depreciation. Any question or comment before we continue with the real exchange rate? So again, according to or based on empirical findings, we know that in the short run, in the short-term analysis, the purchasing power parity might not be accurate perfectly, right? Because of there are a lot of there's a lot of noise and there are a lot of disturbances, other factors like risk premium, like political risk, like of course, if one country has a higher political risk, then its currency will depreciate faster, right? Because nobody wants that money. For example, who wants to hold a Sudanese dollar or maybe North Korean money, because it's not really a hard currency, something like that. So there are a lot of other factors that will affect the exchange rate in the short term. But in the long run, empirical evidence shows that this is quite accurate. I mean, it means that the movement of currencies, movement of exchange rates usually go to the right direction, go to the right direction as predicted by the purchasing power parity, right, in the long run. So any question or comment before we go to this one? So in international trade, we know that the nominal exchange rate might not tell everything about competitiveness. Like for example, let's suppose that a particular country who likes to undervalue its own currency, like China, right? Because China is exporting a lot, right? A lot of products everywhere. So naturally, no, the Chinese government, Chinese businesses would love undervalued currency, right? Because they could sell, yeah, according to the logics, right? Our common sense, we could sell more products because our products will be relatively cheaper, right? If you send the products everywhere. But actually, in the technical terms, the nominal exchange rate cannot determine or cannot affect your competitiveness, because your nominal exchange rate is tainted with inflation, is tempered with inflation rate, right? Because nominal, again, nominal means real plus inflation, right? As always. If you talk about nominal interest rate, this would be like real interest rate plus inflation rate. And if this is a nominal exchange rate, this would be the real exchange rate that has been adjusted with inflation rate, right? So actually, the nominal exchange rate cannot really tell the whole story about competitiveness. But what can tell the whole story is the real exchange rate, right? This is something that I think will really affect the competitiveness, because real exchange rate means this is the exchange rate that has been adjusted with the inflation rate. So if you see your currency appreciate in the real term, right? If your real exchange rate is appreciating, then of course your products will become very expensive in the market. This is what experienced by the United States in 1970s, and then by Japan in 1990s until now. That's why you see that the Japanese products have become less and less competitive, not because of its quality, but because of the increasing real exchange rate. So their exchange rate in real terms has become more and more expensive, right? Making their products relatively more expensive than their competitive products or competitors. This is what China is worried about. That's why they always try to undervalue their currency, right? To make sure that they could maintain their export competitiveness. Cheap products or relatively cheap products everywhere they send their products to. But again, after finishing this course, you should know that actually nominal exchange rate will not change things permanently, because if you try to manipulate the nominal exchange rate, at the end your inflation rate will come to punish you. So there will be no permanent effect, right, by manipulating the nominal exchange rate. But if your real exchange rate does change, right, maybe increasing or decreasing, that will really affect your competitiveness. That's why I think countries, central banks everywhere in the world pay attention a lot to the real exchange rate, right, rather than the nominal exchange rate. So how to estimate this one? So here it is. So the ET accent, you can call it accent or apostrophe or any name, right, in English. So the ET accent is the ET here. So remember, this is the exchange rate estimate at time t that we just calculated before. I remember. So now we multiply by the price index in foreign country. So careful now. This is reverse. Better to write down on the board. Okay, so previously, you see, when you try to estimate here the ET, this should be 1 plus inflation rate in the home country. Okay, divided by 1 plus the inflation rate at the foreign country. Again, home country is the one you mentioned in front. Foreign country is the currency you mentioned at the back. Real exchange rate is ET accent. Real exchange rate, so be careful here. This is the ET estimate multiplied by 1 plus inflation rate in foreign country, right, divided by 1 plus inflation rate at home country. So yeah, a bit. Of course, we are not in a calculus class, so we are not going to to derive the formula from somewhere. I mean, if you're interested, maybe someday you take a PhD program or something like in economics or in finance, and you have to derive the formula. But for now, we are the user of the formula. So just remember that for the real exchange rate calculation, the one in the numerator is the foreign country, and in the denominator, this is home country. So reverse, right? Reverse, be careful here. So let's see an example. Okay, we'll see an example here. So between 1982 and 2006, how many years is that? So many years, 24 years. So yen per dollar, So see, yen per dollar means that the home country is Japan, right? And the foreign country here is the United States, right? In our quotation here, 249 per dollar to 116 per dollar. Okay. So consumer price index in Japan for the 25-year period. For 25 years, the inflation rate, right, the CPI, goes from 80 to 97, right? And the US one goes from 56 to 117. So we got the information here. So what would be the ET again? ET, so ET would be the spot rate right now multiplied by inflation rate at home country divided by 1 plus inflation rate at a foreign country to the power of t. So you see the calculation here. The spot rate is 249, right? 249 multiplied by, what is the home country again? Home country is yen per dollar, so the home country is yen. So what is the inflation rate from 80 to 97, right? So 97 divided by 80. So we get a certain number, right? And the foreign country is the United States, because no, the quotation is in yen per dollar, right? So foreign country from 56 to 117. So 117 divided by 56. Right. So we get this is the ET estimate. ET estimate 144.32 yens per dollar, and you see, right, from 249 to 144, it shows that for the last 25 years or 25 years, what's happening here? Dollar is depreciating or appreciating? Anyone here? Could you please tell me again quickly? Dollar is appreciating or depreciating?
Depreciate.
Depreciating, that's right. From 249 to 144, right? So the anchor currency has depreciated, right? So dollar has depreciated or yen has appreciated. So this is the ET. So what about the real exchange rate? This is the ET estimate, right? The exchange rate at time t. What about the real exchange rate? Remember, real exchange rate is the exchange rate at time t multiplied by the reverse. Be careful. Inflation rate at a foreign country divided by inflation rate at the home country to the power of t. So what's the ET here? ET is 144. Yeah, 144. 144 and so what could we do here? ET accent, right? The real exchange rate should be 144.32 multiplied by. Can you tell me what is the numerator? Which one is it? This one or this one? Anyone here? Would you please tell me which one is it? The foreign, right? Because this is real exchange rate, so we start from the foreign as the numerator. So which one is the foreign? Oh, I mean, this place is so limited. So let me put it on the board again. And we just found out that the ET is what's that, 144. 144.32. Okay, so again, when we want to estimate the real exchange rate, this would be so ET that we just found, right? Now be careful. This is foreign country first, right? Foreign country as the numerator divided by 1 plus inflation rate at the home country for the real exchange rate. But for the when we estimated the ET, when we calculated the ET, the numerator is 1 plus inflation rate in home country, right? And the denominator is 1 plus the inflation rate at a foreign country. So tell me again here. So 144.32 per dollar multiplied by what? Which one first here? Foreign country. So this one, right? This one. Because the foreign country is the one at the back, right? The US dollar. So 1 plus 117 divided by 56 divided by 1 plus, and the home country is 97 to 80. Okay, so we get something here. We get a certain amount. Okay, well, let's calculate it now together. Okay, so to make sure. Yeah, please calculate together, and we will see our results together.
One
Yes, please.
146.
Per dollar.
145.57.
Okay, thank you. So I'm still calculating, so we'll match it together. Okay. Anyone else? Any other number that you got? Actually, I think I made a big mistake, a little bit mistake here. For the because this is in index, we don't need 1 plus. Okay, this is I know quite yeah, sometimes confusing, because our definition here is that this is the inflation rate and they're using an index, so you might get some different numbers because of the 1 plus. So if they say that inflation rate, then we use the percent, right? But here they're using an index, right, from 56 something to 117 in the US, and from 80 to 97, right? This is a consumer price index, so they don't use the inflation rate in terms of percentage points. So I think it would be more appropriate without the 1 plus. But I mean, still remember that we must remember that if this is stated in the inflation rate, then we have to use that 1 plus the inflation rate at a foreign country divided by 1 plus inflation rate at a home country. But here in this story, they're using the index. So it's only the index divided by the index without 1 plus. So anyone got some number? So I think I got like 201. Anyone got 201? Oh, sorry. So no, it's the reverse. So yeah, this one. I got 249. Someone got that number? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we got this estimate at 249.05 without the 1 plus, without the 1 plus. So we just simply use the index. So we'll see here. Okay, so we are reversing here in the text. They're reversing the home and the foreign country. So this is a good exercise for you to to change it back. So where's the ET again? ET is this one, right? So the spot exchange rate is 249.05. In what's it, in 1982, right? The 1982. According to our estimate just now, the real exchange rate right now is 249.55 per dollar. If we maintain the quotation, but let's try this one. So they are exchanging the quotation from from yen per dollar to dollar per yen, right? So they're changing the home currency and the foreign currency. Oh, sorry, I think the ET should be what? So going back a little bit to our story, remember when we calculated the ET here? So our estimate of ET is 144.32 yens per dollar. But the real rate right now is 116. So according to the purchasing power parity, what do you think? The dollar is too high or too low? The Japanese yen is too high or too low? So in our estimate, it should be this one, right? We believe that it should be this one. We believe in the purchasing power parity, but the reality right now, the real rate right now is 116. So the dollar is what? Too high or too low?
Yen is too high.
Yen is too high, right? Or the dollar is too low, right? The same thing, right? So yeah, that's right. So we believe that it should be 144.32 per dollar, but the reality is 116.34. So we see that the dollar is actually too low, right? So dollar is undervalued. I would call it undervalued, and the Japanese yen is overvalued, right? So it should be like in our estimate, if you want to buy $1, you should pay 144.32. But the reality here is that to get $1, you only need to pay 116.34. So yen has appreciated more than the PPP would suggest, or in our estimate, in our perspective, yen is overvalued, right? Or the dollar is undervalued. So when they calculate the real exchange rate, previously we used what's that, 144, but let's try 116. Right? Let's try 116. Let's see what we will get. So instead of using 144, let's say we use 116. 116 is the real rate, right? The real rate right now, 116.34. So let's calculate quickly. So 200 Please verify if I'm right or wrong. That's 276. This is the real exchange rate if we use the ET is the real rate instead of the ET estimate that we calculated before. So we use 116 instead of 144 because this is the real rate. So 276 is the real exchange rate between Japanese yen and dollar right now, according to this calculation. So what about if we reverse the home and the foreign country? So remember from last week, if you want to reverse from yen per dollar to dollar per yen, you just 1 divided by that number. Right? So 1, what's our ET again? ET, so 1 divided by 116. Okay, so we get, what is it? 0, 0, 8, 6. So we reverse the quotation, right, from yen per dollar to dollar per yen. Right? And so now we have to be careful, right? So because real exchange rate would be the ET here multiplied by 1 plus inflation rate at a foreign country. So 1 plus inflation rate at the home country to the power of t. Here we have, so what is the home country now? Be careful, US dollar. And then the foreign country is yen. So what is the foreign index now? Foreign index would be the Japanese one, right? Because now we changed the quotation from dollar per yen to dollar per yen. So the foreign country. So this is foreign, right? Foreign, and this is home. So let's calculate again. What do you get? Is it correct? I mean, can you verify? 0050 or 0049 something, so 0050 per yen. Yeah, so this is correct, right? They also calculated, so 0050. So real exchange rate right now would be 0050 per yen. 0050 per yen. So when they started, see, they started at 249 per dollar. So 1 divided by 249.05 is here, 0040. So essentially, we're saying that when they started in 1982, the exchange rate was 0040. Now, the real exchange rate is 0050. Right, so we're saying that in the real term, Japanese yen has what? Appreciated or depreciated? 0040 to 0050. What is happening again? Which one has appreciated? Which one has depreciated? Anyone here? Or maybe I do it randomly. Nate, Ryu, and who is it? John. Which one has appreciated again? Which one has depreciated?
Yen is appreciate.
That's right. So from 1982 to 2004, in real term, because we just estimated the real exchange rate, Japanese yen has actually, in real terms, appreciated. That's why, you see, their products become less competitive, right? Because the real exchange rate has actually appreciated. Not only the nominal exchange rate, but the real exchange rate has appreciated. So this is, I think, the most important information to central banks all over the world. So we try to, improve competitiveness by not having like overvalued currency in real term. And if you read the story in chapter 3 about the international monetary system, at many points in time, the leaders of the countries met somewhere in New York, in France, right? They try to figure out, this currency has been too expensive, so we are not competitive, we are not happy, and they threaten one another and something like that. So it's quite delicate, quite delicate situation. If you are the governor of the central bank, or if you are the president, so it's not a good job actually, right? So president or governor of central bank, you get old quickly because you have to negotiate, you have to calculate everything, and you have to deal with conflicts and everything. Any question about the purchasing power parity? So we can skip some of the more economics part, for example, the monetary approach, right, with the money supply divided by the inflation or consumer price index should equal real GDP divided by the velocity. Velocity is the turnover velocity, right? Like the bicycle, turnover of money. So we could estimate using this one as well, but so we can estimate the inflation rate, domestic inflation rate is the function of domestic money supply expansion minus the growth of GDP, plus the domestic money supply. So the logic here is that your inflation rate, right, domestic inflation rate should be the function of, see, you need money supply expansion, right, from time to time. So every year the money supply should expand because we have more people, we have more graduates every year, so the amount of money will increase naturally, right? But you see, the first question is, can the increase in money supply be justified or be balanced by the growth of GDP? Growth of GDP is economic growth. Right? So if the expansion of your money supply could be justified by the GDP growth, then of course this will cancel out, right? This will balance out one another. So your inflation rate will depend only on the growth of velocity, the growth of the velocity of the money supply, the turnover. For example, during Christmas and New Year, many people will go back, right? Go back to their hometowns, right? There will be, the velocity will be faster. Or near to maybe Korean New Year, right? If you have like a special version of Lunar New Year, right? Lunar New Year, then yeah, I mean, we also celebrate the Lunar New Year. So we know that people will go back to hometowns, that the velocity of money will be higher, yeah, something like that. So see, this is just a logically economic logic, right, in economics. And if you compare that to a foreign country, right, the differential here, inflation rate differential should equal the difference in domestic money supply minus the difference in GDP growth plus the difference in the velocity of money. just another way of estimating the inflation rate in one particular country. Empirical evidence here, again, we see that the purchasing power parity is not really accurate in the short run, in the short term, but in the long term, empirical findings always show that it's heading to the correct direction, to the right direction. So in the long run, you could believe that a country with a higher inflation rate will see its currency depreciate, right? So most likely its currency will depreciate for a country with a higher inflation rate. This is always true for the long run, right? For example, in 5 years or in 10 years. But of course, in the temporal period, maybe 6 months or 1 year or something like that, there are a lot of disturbances, a lot of other factors that will really affect the exchange rate, right, from time to time, especially in the short run. So this is the Apple index, right? And you see here change in relative purchasing power and change in depreciation, right? So the higher the inflation rate, the higher the depreciation rate would be. And we see that this is quite right? This is quite accurate, especially in the long run. For example, countries with high inflation rate, right, in like India or Brazil or even China, will see its currency depreciate, except China, because China is using the pact system, right? So it's using the peg to the US dollar. So yeah, it's full of manipulation. I mean, everybody knows about that, but of course, because the country is strong economically, militarily, so nobody could comment on that, right? But we know that yeah, this is not right, because the inflation rate is relatively high, but depreciation doesn't necessarily happen because the RMB, right, the yuan, Chinese yuan, is pegged to the US dollar. Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it consumes quite a lot of time for this discussion. Any question for the purchasing power parity? Right, this is the opening door for all other analysis, because other parity conditions would be quite not the same, but quite equivalent to the purchasing power parity logics. Right? So we can follow this easily from now on, right? Because you have understood, you have comprehended the purchasing power parity quite well. Any questions so far? Quite clear? Right, the calculation is quite straightforward. Just sometimes confusing between the quotation, right? Home per foreign, and then the foreign country, home country. But if you do it a lot, especially if you work at a company that deals with exchange rate from time to time, you will be quite expert in doing this, right? To reverse one to the other. If there's no question so far, we can continue with the second parity condition. Second parity condition is Fisher effect. So Fisher effect, based on Irving Fisher, right? Inflation rate and interest rate. So first, before we go further, before we proceed, remember again, the nominal rate is always real and inflation, right? Real rate plus inflation. So if you're on the street, right, you don't bring any calculator, you don't bring any paper, actually you could estimate everything using this one. So the nominal rate is real rate plus inflation. Okay, so you're on the street, again, you don't have any calculator and you want to do it quickly, you can estimate, you can measure the nominal rate as the real rate plus inflation. But in economics, this is not 100% accurate, because no, in calculus, we should do it more formally, like 1 plus nominal rate Right? Should be 1 plus real rate multiplied by 1 plus inflation rate. Okay, so this is in the formal calculus way of estimating this one. So you can imagine now, so 1 plus real rate should be 1 plus nominal divided by 1 plus inflation. Right? But if you are lazy, you're on the street, real rate is what? Nominal minus inflation, right? Quite easy, right? If you're on the street. So real rate would be the nominal rate minus inflation rate. I mean, this is the what's that? The shortcut, right? Not 100% accurate, but yeah, who cares, right? If the difference at 0.02% or something, then you don't really care because you're on the street. But if you are like estimating this for project proposal or something like that, it's always good to use the official one because it's more bona fide, right? It's more more credible, more bona fide. So you use the official formula. Okay, so now see the logic here. What Fisher is saying, or Fisher is talking about. If your country is having higher inflation rate, so inflation at your home country, let's say, is increasing. Again, what will happen? Your domestic products will become more expensive. Your citizens will like imported products more because the imported products, the foreign products, are relatively cheaper, right? Because your inflation rate is higher, right? And because of that, you know, people will have to buy the foreign products, right? Foreign products. So there will be capital outflows. Right? Capital outflows. You can imagine, right? You need to buy a lot of foreign products because they are cheaper now. Why? Because the inflation rate at your home country is increasing, right? Higher inflation rate. So you need to buy the foreign products. And there will be capital outflows going on. Right? Capital outflows will continue until you find out that it's not interesting anymore to put money in your domestic country, right? It's logical, right? So the money keeps going out until at one point you know that to attract people to bring back the money into the home country, you need to increase the interest rate. You see the connection now. That's why a country with a higher inflation rate will most likely see an increasing interest rate as well. I see the connection is like in the same direction, right? Higher inflation rate will necessitate will require a higher interest rate as well, right? Common sense, right? So once again, higher inflation rate, your products become less competitive, right? Because foreign products become cheaper, relatively cheaper. So your citizens will love the imported products, right? The foreign products, they will demand more. And of course, we have to pay for them, right? We have to pay for the products, and there will be the capital outflows because you have to pay for the foreign products. And this will only stop if the central bank increases the interest rate or to increase the attractiveness of the domestic market again by attracting the money to come back to the home country. Okay, so higher inflation rate most likely will see a higher interest rate. Another logic that you can imagine, if the inflation is high, inflation rate is high, from our discussion last week, remember, I tried to give you an analogy of inflation like a body temperature, right? Body temperature. If this is too high, you are having a fever. Right? If the inflation rate is too high, you're having a fever. For example, inflation rate more than 3% is fever. Right? This actually not healthy. So if you are having fever, you cannot play football. Right? If you play football when you are in fever, you will collapse. Right? You faint and may die. Right? So it's impossible. So the same thing here. if the inflation rate is too high, that country cannot grow the economy, because it will be overheating and the country will implode, right? Will collapse, right? Will implode. So high inflation rate, you cannot grow your economy because it will be overheating. But on the other hand, if the inflation rate is too low, like what Japan has been experiencing for almost 30 years, right? Disinflation or even deflation, then the economy is not going well as well, because it is not growing, right? So the body temperature is too low, we have another disease. I don't know the name in medical science, but do you know that body temperature is too low, that is not healthy. If the body temperature is too high, then it's fever. So both are not good. Right? But imagine now, if the inflation rate is too high, money supply is excessive, you have excessive money supply, then what will the central bank do? The central bank will have to do the tight money policy. They have to increase the interest rate to absorb the excessive money, right? To absorb the excessive money back into the banking system, right? Common sense, right? So in both analogies, we know that a higher inflation rate will always be followed by a higher interest rate. Of course, right? In product market logic and also in central bank logic, higher inflation rate, the central bank has to raise the interest rate to absorb the excessive money supply into the banking system. So what is Irving Fisher was saying is very simple. So we should equate the inflation rate and the interest rate. So we could guess easily that 1 plus the inflation rate home country, right, divided by 1 plus inflation rate at the foreign country. So remember, this is the common formula, right? To the power of t should equal 1 plus interest rate. So you see both are I, right? So I have to write it more carefully here. Interest rate at home country divided by 1 plus interest rate of a foreign country. So what we are talking here is a nominal interest rate. Nominal interest rate, not the real interest rate. Right? So nominal interest rate. Okay, so again, the direction of the relationship is positive relation. The positive direction, meaning that the higher the interest rate, then the higher the inflation rate, the higher the interest rate should be. Right? So we see an example. Okay, so let's see the parity condition first. Again, from our discussion, we know that Fisher effect says that the higher the inflation rate of a certain country, then the higher the interest rate should be for that country as well. So see here, the horizontal axis here is the inflation differential, and the vertical axis is interest differential. So let's see the parity, the C. Point C is in parity. No problem with this one, because you see that the your home country has inflation differential of 2%, meaning that the inflation rate at your home country is lower than that in a foreign country by 2%. At 2%, minus 2%. So the inflation rate at your home country is 2% lower than that of a foreign country. And you see here the interest differential. Interest differential is also minus 2%. So the interest rate at your home country is also lower than the interest rate at that foreign country by 2%. So no problem, right? This is in parity. It's normal, right? No problem. But let's look at D here. Happen to point D here. Point D shows that your inflation differential is 2%, right? But the interest differential is 3%. So this is a disparity, right? In disparity, not in parity. So something will happen here. Any guess what will happen? Can you imagine again? Your inflation rate is lower by 2%, right, by lower 2% than the inflation rate at a foreign country. But your interest rate at home is lower by 3% compared to that in a foreign country. So I do it randomly. Moon, what do you think? Is the interest rate at home too low or too high? Imagine again, the inflation rate differential is 2%, right? So your inflation rate at home is lower by 2% compared to that of the foreign country. But your interest rate at home is lower by 3% compared to that of the foreign country. What do you think, Moon?
I'm not sure, but maybe home country currency is depreciate.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, it will depreciate. We agree with that. We saw it in the purchasing power parity. But tell us again, this is simple logic, okay? You don't need any theory. So imagine again, your inflation rate is lower by 2%, right? Your inflation rate is lower by 2% than that of a foreign country. But your interest rate is lower by 3% than that of the foreign country. So what do you think? Is the interest rate at home too low or too high? Now, anyone else? Moon, yeah, please. Yeah. What do you think?
Too high?
Actually, too low. Right? Think about it again. It's too low, right? Because your inflation rate, yeah, you're right, Moon. It's too high. This is because it's negative. Yeah, sorry for that. So the inflation rate is 2% lower, right? Only 2% lower than what's that? Then let's use number, okay, to make it easier. Let's say your inflation rate is 3%. So the foreign inflation rate is, let's say, maybe too high. Yeah, 2%. This is 4%, right? Right. So 2%, and the foreign rate is 4%. But your interest rate is, let's say, to make it easy, okay, 3%, and the foreign one. So the foreign one is what, 6%. So this should be what? This should be, what's the difference? Should be 4, but it's 3. So is it too high or too low? Maybe too low. Is it? I know it's confusing, but you can imagine what we are seeing here. So your inflation rate is 2% lower, right, than that of the foreign country, but your interest rate is 3% lower than that of that foreign country, right? So it should be 4, right? It should be like 2% difference as well. But in reality, it's 3%. So what is it? It's too low, right? Too low. So your interest rate at home is too low, right? And what will happen? Too low means interesting or not to investors? Is it interesting? Huni, can you help us? If your interest rate is too low at home, is it interesting or not interesting to investors?
If it's too low,
Is it interesting or not interesting for you as an investor?
not interesting.
Not interesting, right? Common sense. So we know that if this happens, then the capital flow will go from domestic to foreign, right? Everybody will run away because the interest rate at home is too low, right? So that's why the point D cannot sustain forever, right? Cannot happen forever because this is like disparity, right? Not right. So maybe it could happen within hours or within weeks, right? But it cannot sustain forever because the capital outflows will happen, right, from home country to the foreign country. We see our logic again, right? So the interest rate differential is 2%, right, lower. So our inflation rate is lower by 2%, but our interest rate is lower by 3%. So too much, right? It should be lower by 2% only, but it's lower by 3% in this example. So the capital flow will go out from the home country because the interest rate is too low. No, not interesting, right? So people will take the money out of the domestic country and fly to the foreign country. Empirical evidence, I think this is quite similar to the purchase. We'll definitely see an increasing interest rate. Of course, right? Because the central bank has to respond to the higher inflation rate by increasing its interest rate, right? To absorb the excessive money supply, to bring things to equilibrium or normalcy again. And you see we see the trend line, the positive trend here, higher inflation rate and higher interest rate. Of course, there are some deviations with countries like Russia, or maybe some deviations, of course. But if we do it in the long run, long run analysis, I think we'll see a more clear trend, positive relationship between inflation rate and also the interest rate. So we'll talk a little bit about capital market integration and segregation. So we know that capital markets are integrated everywhere. I think starting from in the past, after the Second World War, we knew that we only had the American stock exchanges. We see the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange. We have Boston Stock Exchange, Philadelphia, and some Chicago Mercantile Exchange and some other exchanges. And then Europe started to recover from the war. Then they had some big exchanges like Frankfurt Stock Exchange, Amsterdam Stock Exchange, and all other cities. And then in Asia, though, we also recovered, right? At the end, we have Korean Stock Exchange, we have the Japanese Stock Exchange, Singapore, and then Australia, and so on. So it had been a lot of big stock exchanges from one decade to another. But I think from the end of 1990s, with the European Monetary Union, with a lot of unions being formed, they have NAFTA, right? They have the EMU, European Monetary Union, and then in Asia also, we have maybe you have East Asian Association or something like that. I don't know, but in Southeast Asia they have ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. I think 10 countries right now, and nowadays I think we call it the ASEAN plus 3. The three are, of course, Korea, China, and Japan, right? So now we have Asian plus 3 and everything. So we know that the capital market integration will evolve more and more. And even now, I think since 2000s, the era of 2000s, we already had NYSE Euronext, right? So NYSE and Euronext, so there's a strong connection now. It's like a boundaryless operation between the New York Stock Exchange and the Euronext, or the European stock markets. So this is quite simple. When we have segregation in the past, what happened in one country, for example, here in the United States, here, this is the equilibrium here, demand for the US capital market, and then the supply. So we have the equilibrium here, and the rest of the world, RW is the rest of the world. So here, but now with the capital market integration, of course, everything is in combination. Right? Everything is combined, and we see a lot of positive things here. The development is faster, right? And the new technologies, so new development, new knowledge, and everything would be quite quite uniform from one country to another. So we could imagine in the past, we study something like this, we had to go to the United States, right? No other place better than the United States, right? We study like financial economics because all the techniques, all the practices are there, right? But now you see, even at your university, you have, right? So Kyung Kwan has become a world-class university, right? A very good MBA program, top in Asia and one of the best in the world. So there's no problem because knowledge has been quite uniform, right? Quite similar from one place to another. And practice is also the same here. We see now we have strong capital markets in Asia, strong capital markets in Europe as well. So now everything has become more integrated, right? So there are many positive things there, but there are some negative effects of that. Can you maybe tell me one of them was a negative effect of integration? Can I call randomly Dae Wong? Dae Wong, can you tell us maybe one potential negative effect of financial markets integration? We see many positive things, right? Like, can you mention just one, maybe positive, negative effect? Yeah, in your opinion, what do you think? Like potential negative effect of capital market or financial market integration?
Sorry, I don't know.
Any guess from anyone who want to know one potential negative effect from the integration?
maybe systemic risk.
Yes, systematic risk. That's right. What does it mean?
But for example, in 2008, from the US financial market, the financial crisis, if one big financial firm is bankrupt, spread to the worldwide.
That's right. So that's a very good one. So potential like contagious effect is higher. I would call it contagion. Right? So what's happening there suddenly also is contagious to other countries. That's very, very true. And if you see the crisis in 1998, I think everybody was already quite quite going up in 1998, right? All of us here. So 1998, a crisis that happened starting from Asia, right? The Asian crisis didn't really fly to the United States or Europe quickly because that was 1998. But you see what happened in 2008 is right. What you said in 2008. What originally started in the United States quickly spread to other parts of the world, including Asia, right? So it's more dangerous now. We call it like a higher level of contagion, right, or contagious effect. Okay, so capital market integration, you can read the stories in the text or on the internet or something. But of course, nowadays, we know that the capital market has been more and more integrated, right? So what is happening, you see even, I think you're following as well, every day or every night, because when the US market is morning, here we are at night, right? So even at night, we always follow the news from the US because we want to know what was the unemployment rate yesterday. It dropped to 8.4%, and the Federal Reserve was maintaining the low interest rate policy and everything. So we have to follow the news because of the integration, right? So what is happening there will definitely spread to our region quickly. So that's inevitable, right? Unavoidable. Any question about Fisher effect before we continue to the international Fisher effect? Okay, so Let's repeat a little bit. Okay, so remember purchasing power parity. What is purchasing power parity saying again? Higher inflation rate will be followed by depreciation. We agree, right? So a country with a higher inflation rate will most likely see its currency depreciate, right? Depreciation. And what about Fisher effect? Fisher effect says that a country with a higher inflation rate will experience an increasing interest rate. Oh, so when we combine these parity conditions together, then we get the international Fisher effect. So international Fisher effect tries to relate the interest rate and exchange rate. So you see, right? This is just a combination, right? Purchasing power parity connects inflation rate and exchange rate. Fisher effect relates the inflation rate and interest rate. So international Fisher effect relates the interest rate and exchange rate. Okay, so this is quite so we do it again. So according to the purchasing power parity we saw some minutes ago, this would be in positive relationship with the exchange rate. Right? Inflation at home divided by inflation at foreign to the power of t. Okay. And then the Fisher effect says that the inflation rate should be in line with interest rate. So because they are both I'll use R. R is rate, okay? Interest rate. So I use R. Interest rate here, to the power of t, of course. So what do you think about international Fisher effect? So we try to relate. Now we try to relate this one and this one. Okay, so it's very easy, right? So it should be the exchange rate at time t divided by exchange rate right now, spot now, spot rate should equal what? 1 plus interest rate at the home country divided by 1 plus interest rate at the foreign country. Very easy, right? So this is just a combination. Now, international Fisher effect is relating or is trying to relate the interest rate and the exchange rate. So you can guess easily, right, from our analysis, from our discussion so far, that you can guess that a country with a higher interest rate, so we're talking about nominal interest rate, right? A country with a higher nominal rate will most likely see its currency depreciate, right? So higher inflation, higher interest rate. So higher interest rate most likely see its currency depreciate, right? So lower interest rate will most likely see its currency appreciate, right? So the same, right? Same as inflation. So higher inflation means higher interest rate. Higher inflation and higher interest rate means depreciation, right? Very easy, right? Just a combination. So we'll go to an example. Okay, here. Yeah, you can use the bar here, expected. Yeah, you can call it using the shapu, the hat, the expected exchange rate at time t. So see an example. Again, if you want to know the percentage change, you just find the difference, right? But if you want to know the here this one, then you have to multiply again, like what we did before. But if you want to know the percentage change, you simply find the differential or difference between the interest rate at home country and that in foreign country. Okay, so now tell me, I think you are expert now. See the the horizontal axis is the interest differential. here, interest differential, and the vertical axis is the expected change in foreign currency relative to home currency. Remember, this is home per foreign, as always, okay? Home per foreign, I mean the quotation. So tell me now, point E, this is in parity conditions, right? Parity conditions, this is in equilibrium, no problem with that, because why is that? Here we see that the foreign currency has positive 4, right? Positive 4 has appreciated by 4%. So the foreign currency has appreciated by 4%. Positive, right? Positive 4. And on the other hand, the interest rate differential is also 4%. Right? Interest differential is also 4% here. So your the interest rate at home is higher than interest rate at a foreign country by 4%. So this is normal, right? This is in equilibrium, in parity conditions. So you see the logic again. Our interest rate at home is higher than that in the foreign country by 4%. So our interest rate is higher. Let's use an example. Maybe what's it? 4%, and the interest rate at foreign country is 0. Maybe this is between, I don't know, yeah, somewhere maybe in Africa and the United States right now, almost 0. So 4%, and the exchange rate between that country, X country per US dollar. This is home, this is foreign, right? The foreign currency has appreciated by 3%. Right? So foreign currency has appreciated by 3%, but the interest differential is only 2%, meaning that our interest rate is only 2% higher than that of the foreign country. So what will happen here? Is it too high or too low? Whose turn now? Uni and Ryu. Ma'am, the lady beside Ryu Hanchu, there's no Roman name. What's your name? Is in my picture is beside Yumi Kwon. Is in Korean alphabet, so I don't know your name. So, or maybe I'll continue to Yumi first. Okay, Yumi, can you tell us what is happening? So the foreign currency has appreciated. Yes.
Sir, your internet has some problem, so it's cut down something.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got, but yeah, we didn't miss your explanation about the 4% something.
Maybe I think the mic problem. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now here, but it's
Okay.
a little bit cut down.
Right, because the mic was running out of battery. So sorry, the mic was running out of battery. So you can hear me now. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
you see the situation. The foreign currency, right? This is home per foreign, right? The quotation is always the same. Foreign currency has appreciated by 3%. Right, the foreign currency has appreciated by 3%, but the interest rate differential is only 2%. So what do you think? Is the home currency interest rate too low or too high?
Too low.
Too low, right? It should be, yeah, too low, too high?
Yes, too low. Yeah.
Too low. The home country's interest rate is too low. So what will happen? what will happen in terms of money flow? So money will go
It's
out or go in. Yes, foreign currency will appreciate by has appreciated by 3%, right?
Yes.
But the interest rate at home is higher than the interest rate at a foreign country by 2% only. So this is wrong, right? This is not in parity. And as Yumi said, the interest rate at home is too low, right? Too low, right? Because the depreciation is 3%, or foreign currency has appreciated by 3%. But interest rate at home is only higher by 2% than that of the foreign country. So the interest rate at home is too low. So what would happen with the money? Will go out or go in if it's too low? Yumi again, maybe Yumi, can you continue? What will happen to the money if the interest rate at home is too low? Will it be more interesting or less interesting?
Too low is too much money.
Yeah. So interest rate is too low. Do you like it, or don't you like it, or do you like it?
Too low is I like it, but in the central bank doesn't like it.
Okay. So if I offer you 3%, or if I offer you 2%, which one do you like more? You like 3% or 2% more?
2% more.
I think you like 3% more, right? If I give you money, if I give you
2%.
interest rate, maybe, yeah. What do you think? If I give you interest payment, right? Maybe you lend out money to me. I give you interest payment between 2% and 3%. Of course, you will choose 3%, right? 3%. Right. So obviously, it will be less interesting if the interest rate is lower in one country. Okay. So in this case, there will be a capital outflow, right? Capital outflow somewhere else, right? Because see the logic again, right? The foreign currency has appreciated by 3%. Actually, the interest rate at home, is only higher, or is only higher by 2% compared to the interest rate at a foreign country. So it's too low, right? Our interest rate is too low at home. So because the interest rate is too low at home, it will be less interesting to investors. That's why they will take the money out to another place to find a better place, right? Okay, so again, if the parity conditions is not met, it's not fulfilled, then we know that there will be a capital outflow somewhere, or going in, going out, right? Okay. So maybe let me give you an example. Another example. Let's say I have here. I give name. What's that? Whatever. Maybe X. Right. The spot X here. So I'll continue with Cholo Park. Is it correct? Yeah. Cholo Park. Yeah. So in its X position, we know that the foreign currency has appreciated by 4%. But the interest rate at home is higher by only 3% compared to the interest rate at a foreign country. So Cholo, what do you think will happen at point X? What will happen here? Is the interest rate at home too high or too low? Can you hear me? Or this Cholo Park, or someone else? Ha Van Lok. At point X, what do you
I
think?
think that the point is, yeah, but the home currency to the foreign currency 4%.
Yeah.
So it will be on the right hand side of the E point, not the on the left hand side.
That's right. That's right. So what's happening now? The interest differential is only 3%. So what do you think? Is the interest rate at home too high or too low? This
it's high.
Should be 4%, right? So the home currency, the home interest rate should be higher than the foreign interest rate by 4%. Should be, right? Should be 4%. But the reality is only 3%. So the interest rate is too high or too low?
Yeah, but I don't understand. One point is the expected change related to home currency is 4.4%, right? So
Yes.
but the X point is on the 3% now. It's not 4%. The X point.
Yeah, that's right. It should be 4%, right? It should be 4, but the reality here is 3%. So this is wrong, right?
Yeah, it's
this
wrong.
this is not right. That's why. What condition is it? Again, we're seeing that the foreign currency has appreciated by 4%, but actually, the interest rate at home is higher only by 3%, right, than the interest rate at the foreign country. So the interest rate at home is too low, right? Too low, because the differential should be 4%, but actually here is only 3%. So because the interest rate is too low domestically, right, at home, then it will be less interesting to investors, right? You see the logic, right? Interest rate at home is too low, then it's not interesting to investors. Then there will be a capital flight, capital outflows from domestic country to other countries, right? So again, anything that's not in parity will see this kind of situation, right? Okay, so yeah, we'll see some other examples later. So we have seen 3 parity conditions, right? 3 parity conditions. I think it's quite clear right now. The first one is purchasing power parity. So the higher the inflation rate, the more likely is the currency will depreciate, right? And then Fisher effect. Fisher effect tries to relate the inflation rate and interest rate. Higher inflation rate will be followed by higher interest rate. What about the third one? The third one is international Fisher effect. Right? International Fisher effect says that tries to combine both two. A country with a higher interest rate is a similar situation as the international Fisher effect. Very similar. Okay, so in the international Fisher effect, we see that when we want to estimate the exchange rate at time t, this should be 1 plus interest rate at home divided by 1 plus interest rate at the foreign country. Right? So this is international Fisher effect. And if we extend the analysis to interest rate parity, we just need to change the numerator. So we don't call it, so ET here is the expected exchange rate at time t. So what about the forward rate? So we can say this is a forward rate, right? Same thing, right? Should be 1 plus the interest rate at home divided by 1 plus the interest rate at a foreign country. But now it's not expected spot rate at time t, but now this is forward rate. And I think some of you are quite familiar with the forward contract. We'll see a lot of forward contract discussion, I think, in subsequent chapters, in chapter 6 and then 7 and so on. So we have again spot, and then we have forward. So remember, right? This a spot transaction means that you make the deal right now. Spot transaction, you make the deal right now, and you implement or you carry out that transaction right now. But for the forward contract, you make the deal right now, but you will deliver, right? The delivery will happen sometime in the future, right? Maybe next 6 months, 2 years, or something like that. So again, interest rate parity says that this is how we estimate the forward exchange rate, right? Forward exchange, how to estimate the forward exchange rate. So it's very similar to international official effect, with the one minor difference. In the international official effect, we are estimating the spot rate at time t, right? Spot rate at time 1 or something like that. But for the interest rate parity, we try to estimate the forward rate, right? Forward exchange rate. So let's see an example. So we see here a quick example here. If the parity conditions is fulfilled, right, the interest rate parity is fulfilled, I mean the condition is met, then we cannot get any arbitrage profit. Remember, arbitrage profit means that easy profit, right? You don't have any risk, but you get like easy money, right? Arbitrage profit. So let's prove it. I will see more in chapter 6 next week, okay? But now we can see a simple example. You have $1 million, right? Suppose you have $1 million, and the spot rate right now is, where is the spot rate? Okay, the spot rate right now is let me do it here, easier. So you have $1 million right now. Let's say you don't have, even you don't have this 1 million, okay? You just borrow. You borrow 1 million at say, what's the interest rate? Okay, 2%. So you borrow at 2% per 3 months, or 8% per year, 8% per annum, right? If I multiply by 4, right? So you don't even have the dollar, okay? You just borrow 1 million, and you know that 1 year later, you have to pay what, 1 million plus 2%, right? No, 1 year, 3 months later, you have to pay 1 million plus 2%. Okay? And what is the spot rate right now? Spot rate between here, 74 per dollar. $74 per dollar. And what is the forward rate? Forward rate is here. This is the forward rate. Salah Sachit. Forward rate for 3 months is like this. Okay, so we want to prove. So this is what interest rate at home. So this is interest rate at US side. So what about the interest rate at Europe? Interest rate at Europe is 1.5 per 90 days. Oh. Oh. So in Europe, it's 1.5, 90 days, right? Or 6% per annum. Okay, so let's try it now. What should be the forward rate? According to the interest rate parity, it should be this way, right? 1 plus interest rate at home, 1 plus interest rate at foreign, to the power of t. So t here is 3 months, right? So both are in 3 months. And we know that the spot rate right now is this, right? This is the spot rate, 74. So tell me quickly, which one is the home country interest rate? 1.5 or 2? Which one is the home country? Jong-hoon, could you please tell us which one is the home country? Euro or dollar? Which one is the home country?
I think Euro.
Yes, Euro is the home country. So 1.5, right? Divided by 1 plus 2%. Because this is in 3 months, right? Be careful. Not in 1 year, but in 3 months. So what should it be? What should the forward rate be? Let's calculate together. Anyone? Should be what? Anyone got any number?
0.76, 0.736.
Right. Okay, so this is the forward rate estimated using the interest rate parity, right? And we see the reality now. The reality is, where's the forward? Ah, here. Oh, maybe wrong. Let me see the number again. Oh, yeah. It's my mistake. Here. So this is correct, right? So you understand what I'm saying? According to the interest rate parity, the forward rate should be 7.364 or 7.337 per dollar, right? And the reality is exactly correct, right? So there's no no gap, or there's no inaccurate parity condition. So you see that if this holds, if this happens, there's no arbitrage profit. There's no opportunity to get arbitrage profit. Okay, and we'll prove it quickly here using this example. So one more time, based on our calculation, it should be 7.363, and the reality is also 7.363. So there's no inaccuracy, there's no gap. So we can be sure that if this condition prevails, then there's no arbitrage profit. I will prove it quickly. Okay, so if you have $1 million here, okay, you convert it. Remember, you borrow, right? You borrow this $1 million. So you know that 3 months later, you have to pay 1 million plus 2%. Interest rate in the US 2%. So you borrow 1 million in 3 months. Convert it right away. Convert to euro right now at spot. So see the spot rate. What is the spot rate again? Spot rate is 74. So I want to tell you the quickest way. The quickest way to convert. Okay, if you see the same exchange rate at the back, you multiply. if you see the same exchange rate in front, you divide. So let's see here. So this is dollar, right? And the dollar is at the back. Okay, so you multiply. You understand what I'm saying, right? So if you see the same currency at the back, you multiply. But if you see the same currency in front, you divide. So here they're the same at the back, you see? So you multiply, right? So 1 million multiplied by 74. So you know that you will get what, 740,000. This is right now, spot, right? Right now. So with the 740,000 euros at hand, you invest, right? You invest for 3 months. And you see the logic again? You have $1 million right now. You convert it right away to euro, right, at 74 cents. Here at 74. This is the spot rate. Then you get 740,000 euros. Right? With 740,000 euros at hand, you invest it now. You invest it for 3 months. And what is the interest rate? What's the return? 1.5. So your money will become, 3 months later, your money will become 740,000. That goes by cent, right? So what is it? Anyone? 751. Okay, so 751,100. So you know that in 3 months' time, your money will become 751,000 euros and 100 euros, right? So because you know that 3 months later, you will have 751,100 euros, then you can make a contract right now. Remember the definition of forward contract? Forward contract means you make the deal right now. You make the deal right now, but the delivery will happen 3 months later. And what is the forward rate? Forward rate is here. Okay, so this is the forward rate, right? 3 month forward rate. So once again, right now you have 740,000 and you're going to invest for 3 months. You invest, and you know that with this investment, you will get a return of 1.5%. So you know for sure that 3 months later, your money would be 751,100 euros. So because you know that 3 months later, you will have 751,100 euros, you make the contract right now. So you make the contract right now, but the delivery will happen 3 months later, right? And 3 months later, you know that you will have 751,100 euros. So you want to exchange it back, but 3 months later. But you want to make the contract right now. That's why you call it a forward contract, right? Forward contract. So you make the deal right now. So you're saying to your broker, so I want to take a selling position, right? In subsequent chapters, we'll call it like short position, selling or short position of euro. You want to short euro, you want to sell euro in 3 months because you know that 3 months later, you will have 751,100 euros. So you sell it right now, but the delivery will happen 3 months later. And what is the rate? Here, right? So how much is it in dollars? Remember what I just told you? If you see the same exchange rate at the back, you multiply. But if you see the same exchange rate in front, you divide. So do you divide or multiply? Yeah, in front. So you divide. right? So you divide. So 751,100 divided by 0.73637. That's the same in front, right? You see?
$1.358.
Okay, let me calculate also. Yeah, one. Say it again.
1.358.
You divide. So 751,100 divided by 0.73637. I think I just got 20. Anyone got this? This one divided by this one. You see, the exchange rate is the same in front, so you divide, right? If the exchange rate is the same at the back, you multiply. So this is in front, so you divide. You get the same thing? Anyone got this one? The same thing? Can anyone confirm? You get this one also?
Is this right?
Yeah. So so you see the logic here. It says that there's no arbitrage profit, right? There's no profit whatsoever. Why? Because the interest rate parity, right? According to the interest rate parity, the forward rate is exactly the same as the reality. So there's no gap, right? There's no gap. We just saw our calculation before. So you see the logic again. I started with 1 million, right? I have 1 million, and this 1 million I borrow, right? I borrow from a bank, and the interest rate is 2% for 3 months. 2% for 3 months. So I know that in 3 months' time, I will have to repay 1,020,000, right? In 3 months' time. But now I use this 1 million to convert into euro right now. So I convert it right now, and the spot rate is 74. See, I multiply, right? I get 740,000. Multiply, I get 740,000 right now. So I invest this money right now, 740,000 euros. I invest for 3 months, right? And I know that I will get 3%. I will get 1.5%. See from the information above. See here. So I know that my money will grow by 1.5%, and it will become 751,100 in 3 months for sure. I know I have 740 right now. I know in 3 months' time, my money will become 751,100 euros. Because I know that in 3 months' time, I will have 751,100 euros, then I'll make a contract right now. The contract is made right now, but the delivery will happen 3 months later. We call it a forward contract, right? And the forward rate is this, 73637. So they're the same in front, you see. So if I convert it into dollar, I have to divide, right? They're the same in front. A euro per dollar. So 751,100 divided by 0.73637, and I know that 3 months later my money would be $1,020,000, and I have to repay the bank $1,020,000. So I don't get any benefit. So this is a simple example that shows that there is no arbitrage profit. But next week, when we see chapter 6, we'll see some arbitrage situation. We call it covered interest arbitrage. So we'll see this next week, okay? So for this week, there's no arbitrage profit, right? Everything just fits into the calculation and something like that. Any question about this one before we see the last parity condition? So again, this graph, right? The horizontal is the forward premium or discount. Premium means appreciation. Discount means depreciation, as always. And remember, this is always in home per foreign, home per foreign. And this is the interest differential. So interest rate at home minus interest rate at the foreign country. So let's see some problem here. G. Let's start from G. So what's happening at G here? See here, 3%. Right. So the exchange, the foreign currency has appreciated by 3%. Foreign currency has appreciated by 3%, but actually the interest differential is only 2%. So the interest rate at home is only higher by 2% than that of the foreign country. So let me do it randomly again. Yang Sung-woo, can you please tell us what is happening here? Is the interest rate at home too high or too low?
Too low.
Too low, yeah, that's correct. See, foreign currency has appreciated, foreign currency has appreciated by 3%. But actually, the interest rate at home is only higher by 2% than that of the foreign country. So interest rate at home is too low. And what will happen again, Sungwoo? What will happen if the interest rate at home is too low? What will happen to the capital flow? Money will go out or money will go in to the home country. Interest rate is too low, like what you said. That's correct. Yeah, will it be interesting or less interesting to investors? Investors will like it more or not? Lower interest rate, is it happier or not happy? Too low? Again, if you're offered 2% or 3%, which one will you choose? If someone wants to give you money, 2% or 3%, which one will you choose?
3%.
3%, yeah, of course. So too low means not happy, right? you don't like it. So investors will not like it. So again, like what you said is correct. Interest rate at home is too low. So investors don't like it, right? So there will be a capital outflow, right? Capital will go out from the home country to the foreign country because the interest rate is too low. What about point H? Let me go to this next. Ko Ji-hoon, please. Yeah. Ko Ji-hoon. So what is happening here at point H? So foreign currency has appreciated by 4%. Sorry. No, it's wrong. Oh, sorry. I think I did it wrong. Okay. So this vertical and the is quite confusing. So for point H, what's that? 3%. Okay. So foreign currency has appreciated by 3%, but the interest differential. So the interest rate at home is higher than the interest rate at the foreign country by 4%. So once again, right, foreign currency has appreciated by 3%, but interest rate at home is higher than the interest rate at the foreign country by 4%. So what do you think about the interest rate? Is it too high or too low at home? Here? So foreign currency has appreciated by 3%, but interest rate at home, too high, right? Too high. Yes, that's right. So interest rate at home is too high. So what will happen? What will happen to the capital flow? Will the money come in or will the money go out?
Go in.
Yeah, go in, right? Come in. That's very good. Yeah, very good. Because the interest rate is too high, people will love it, right? People will love it because interest rate is too high, higher than expected, higher than it is supposed to be. So the money will come in, right? Capital inflows will happen coming to the domestic country. So I know the time is up, but we have one more. Okay, I'll do it quickly. So the last one is we call it UFR. So UFR here, we calculated this before. So the last one here is the UFR. We call it unbiased forward rate. This is the fifth parity condition. So we are saying that the forward rate, right? The forward rate should be the same as the expected spot rate in the future. So we call it UFR, unbiased forward rate, right? According to the parity. Is $112 per euro, $112 per euro. Then you know that the expected, so the forward rate is 112 per euro. Then we know that the expected spot rate for 90 days should be the same. That's why we call it unbiased forward rate, right? Unbiased forward rate. And yeah, you can see from my lecture notes, we have some calculation there. Yeah, I know it's a quite tiring day. We have, because this is again the core of international finance, so we have to discuss this a bit longer for today. Okay, so almost 3 hours. But so for the international monetary system, I will just let you to read the lecture notes or the text. Okay, it tells the story about the development of monetary system from the gold system, right? Pure gold system, and then to semi-pure gold system. Right? So the gold system stopped at the First World War in 1914. Stopped there. 1914 to 1918, there was nothing, right? Because there was war. Nobody cared about money. You know, everybody just shot one another. So after the First World War, we had the semi-pure gold system. Why we call it semi-pure? Because in the semi-pure period, other countries other than the United States and the United Kingdom could peg their currencies to US dollar and UK pound. That's why we call it semi-pure. But the US dollar and UK pound had to be pegged to gold. Then Second World War happened. Of course, nothing again. At the end of Second World War, we had the Bretton Woods system. Bretton Woods is a place in New Jersey in the United States, so the name of the place. So Bretton Woods system lasted from 1946 to 1971. And from 1971 onward, nowadays we have the floating rate system, like floating, like basically like a floating system. But even in the floating system, we have free floating, we have managed floating, right? And we have other types of floating. So you can read again the story. Maybe you cannot sleep at night, and you can read and you can sleep easier after reading the history of international monetary system. But I want to conclude today. Okay, remember we have 5 parity conditions. The first one is purchasing power parity. Right, purchasing power parity, higher inflation rate will be followed by depreciation. And then Fisher effect, higher inflation rate will be followed by higher interest rate. International Fisher effect, higher interest rate will be followed by depreciation. right? And then interest rate parity, similar to the international official effect. Higher interest rate a country with a higher interest rate will most likely see its forward rate discount, right? Its currency have a forward rate discount or depreciation. And then finally, the fifth one is unbiased forward rate. So we are saying that the forward rate should be equivalent or should be the same as the expected spot rate in the future. So we call it unbiased forward rate. And next week we'll see more calculations, more complications, and we start having bid and ask quotes. So it's a bit more, but I think it's quite joyful if you know the tricks. Okay, just remember again the conversion. If the exchange rate is the same at the back, you multiply. If the exchange rate is the same in front, you divide. Okay, so this is the easiest way to figure out. Okay, so I know you're tired and you have another class at 1:30. So thank you for today, and I will post. I will send lecture notes for next week and also the assignment. Okay, so please tell me on Kakao Talk who have not got a group. Okay, and I will randomize. But for you who have created groups, I will let you maintain the groups. Okay, no problem. So for those who haven't, I will just randomize the groups for you. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a nice weekend, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir.